Section 1.8 involves solving right triangles. You did this in geometry, so this is going to be a review. This is something that is on the ACT every single time, and sometimes multiple questions. So it's a good lesson to review. So this works when we have a right triangle. That's why you did it in geometry, because geometry always had right triangle trig. When we're solving this right triangle, that means we're finding all the missing parts. And what I mean by that is I'm given one side and I'm given one angle. I want to try to find the other angle and the other two sides. So we're going to find all the missing parts of this triangle. So you can label, when you get ready to work these problems, the word problems, you can label this triangle however you want. If this is angle A, then the side opposite would be little a. So the angles are always a capital letter and the sides are always a lowercase little. So if this is capital C, that would be lowercase c, and this is capital angle B. So if I was trying to find this, I would label it little b. So I can kind of go wherever I want to here, but one thing I notice is that the part that's given to me, this is the angle that's given, and so I'm always going to use it to find the other parts. The other thing that's given is the side that is adjacent to this angle. So if I'm talking about this particular angle, this would be the opposite side, this would be the adjacent side, and this would be the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always across in the right triangle. So we're going to use, and hopefully you learned this in geometry, SOHCAHTOA. So in this particular case, we know the adjacent, and I can either find the opposite or I can find the hypotenuse, either one. I'm just going to start with the one that's opposite, so A. I'm going for this one first. So I'm going to use the one that involves the opposite and the adjacent. And the opposite and the adjacent involves tangent. So I'm going to write my equation. Tangent of 34.2. And this is degrees, so we'll have to remember that when we get ready to put it in our calculator to make sure our calculator's on degrees. So tangent of 34.2 equals the opposite, which is A, over the adjacent, which is 19.4. So to solve for A then, I'm going to multiply both sides by 19.4. So 19.4 tangent 34.2. And I'm going to type that straight into my calculator. So this can be done with the TI-30 as well. You don't have to have a graphing calculator. So I'm going to go to mode and make sure that I'm in degrees, and right now I'm in radians, so I'm going to switch that over. Then I'm going to hit clear so I can go back to the calculator. And I'm just going to type the equation in just like it is. 19, and I can put times, or I don't have to put times because it's multiplied, 34.2 parentheses. And so that side is 12.91. And we're going to round all these problems 2 places out. So this side is 12.91. And now I have to find the hypotenuse side. And I'm always going to go back to the thing that was given to me because this is a rounded answer. So I'm going to go back to the original. And if I'm trying to find C, I would know the adjacent. And I'm trying to find the hypotenuse. So the one that involves adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. So to find side C, I'm going to do cosine of 34.2 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Now, this time I'm solving for C, and C's in the denominator, so it's a little trickier. I want to get the C out of the denominator, so I'm going to multiply it times this side. So I have C times cosine 34.2 equals 19.4. So to solve for C, I've got to divide both sides by 34.2. So this is how I would type that into my calculator. 19 divide by cosine 34.2 parentheses. And the answer is 22.97 because the 2 will not make the 7 round up. So C is 22.97. And then the last thing I'm going to find is this angle B. And angle B is the third angle in this triangle. And we know that in a triangle, the three angles should add up to 180. So to find that third side, I'm going to do 180, or sorry, the third angle. I'm going to do 180, subtract 90, subtract 34.2. And I get 56.8. So angle B is 56.8. So that's this. Now, once I'm finished, I can take a look and just see if this makes sense. You learned a theorem in geometry called the hinge theorem. And the hinge theorem says that the smallest angle should be across from the smallest side. So here's my smallest angle, 34.2. It's across from 12.91. That's my smallest side. My next biggest angle is 56.8, and that's across from my next biggest side. And then my biggest angle, 90, is across from my biggest side. So this makes good sense, so I must be correct.